My name is Reverend Lezli Goodwin, and I am part of the senior ministerial team here at New Vision Center. And I want to add my welcome to the pile of welcomes you've already received. Whether it's your billionth Sunday with us or your very first one, and for most of us, it's somewhere in between. Please know that you're really wanted, welcome, and loved right here. For those of you that are watching on live stream, live or on video, you are right there in our hearts as well. We can feel your consciousness and your presence. If you have the opportunity, log in, send us a comment, let us know where you're checking in from. We want to know you too. Rick sang about the world. And we love everybody who can come right here to New Vision Center and sit in our actual chairs and gaze at one another lovingly and hold hands and sway. We do. We really do. And we have the opportunity to reach out to so many people all over the world. You know, there are only about 400 centers for spiritual living in the world. About 400, which means the vast majority of the planet is populated with people who will probably never walk into one of our centers. But that is absolutely no reason why they can't feel this love every time they log on, right? Yes. My talk today is called The Contribution of Transformation. And Jeff said, that's an intriguing title. Where are you going with that? One always wonders when I start a talk where I'm going with that, right? So it's our month of contribution, and this is a month where we really look at what we give. Our time, our talent, our treasure, our energy, our consciousness. What are we contributing to the people in our life, to New Vision Center, to the planet? What are we contributing? And on our first Sunday this month, Reverend Dr. Michelle Madrano was in the house, and she talked about the joy of generosity. And she did that thing that y'all love so much. She talked about money. Anybody get a little twitchy when we talk about money? I love how no one raised their hands, but everybody giggled. I love that. And last week, Reverend Karen talked to us about that place of giving, the generosity of holding one another high. How when we recognize the goodness that's already present, givingness becomes a really natural thing to do. And so I want to take that idea, the combination of those ideas, a little bit deeper. My premise is, stay with me here, the biggest contribution you can make to life is becoming the fullest, wholest, most magnificent expression of the divine possible in your beingness. Larry agrees that when we are the all of ourselves, out of our human blockades and in the full divine truth of who we are, that there is so much more to give. So much more to give in terms of ideas, of consciousness, of love, of energy, and yes, typically of money. Because when we are our whole selves, the other things just kind of fall into place, right? All right, so we're going to talk about how that works. I think we know that Rick is here to give the allness of harmony, of compassion, of peacemaking. If you know him, and most of us do, that's the truth of his beingness. It's what he walks out in his work life. It's what he walks out in his church life. It's what he walks out in the music he chooses to share with us. He is a really great example of someone who is living from their whole self. You know, science of mind supports this premise. The idea is that there's only one. And how big is it? Really, really big. For anybody new, this is a running gag from a talk from a while ago. Really, really big. There's one, and we are all individualizations. Oh, Ernest Holmes. We're all unique parts of it. We're all unique expressions of the oneness. We're not a separate thing. We're not something that just grew out of it and budded and is hanging out separate from the divine. We're all connected to each other and to this oneness beingness, which means that everything that's in the one is always right there for us. And do we claim every bit of that oneness? I want to believe you. I heard yes, and I want to believe you. I know that I personally am not reveling in the infinite abundance of all of life every single moment of my life. I do not have a yacht. Yet. I have not given $1 million to this center out of my goodness. Yet. So there's still more connecting that I can do with the allness that is. And that's probably true for all of us in terms of finding our life's passions and really giving ourselves permission to go for it. That's probably true for being the most loving, most compassionate being we can possibly be. There's always more we can reach into. And my premise is that is the biggest contribution we can make. Because when we make that contribution, so many other ways of givingness open up to us, and we have that opportunity. A while ago, Reverend Karen said, I keep paraphrasing it differently, not exactly the way she said it, but she basically said, there are things that if they're not given by you, can never be given. If you are a unique expression of the divine, if you don't give it, you never can. And if we don't let ourselves transform into the being that can give that, it will never be given. Think about that. Never. In all of time and space, if you don't give it, it will never be given. We're very trained in this culture to be humble. I'm not special, I'm nothing special, I'm just here doing the best I can. If you don't give it, it will never be given. Do you hear the difference? So that's why this talk is called The Contribution of Transformation. So we're going to talk about making a contribution, creating your best life. We're going to talk about how we open to transformation and what holds us back from that. And then we're going to talk about what can happen. One example of what can happen when we let ourselves be all of who and what we are. Pablo Picasso said, "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." It's a famous quote, and we keep using it because it's so good. It's so good. Has anybody ever done that? Found something that they're really especially good at and then shared it freely? The way your heart just opens up. It's like the Scrooge. My heart grew 3 times that day. It becomes what we live for. More important than accomplishing, more important than getting, more important than gaining, more important than recognition. It becomes that feeling tone of we are in this together and I am here for you. That's the definition of our best life. I know I joke about yachts. I write songs about yachts. Yacht has become the catchphrase for me when I'm talking about truly, truly opulent good. And if I had a yacht, I'd probably sell it and give the money to Centers for Spiritual Living. Yeah. Truthfully. Because the work that is done in this organization and the individual lives of the people that call this home, and then the outflow from outreach and the way people step into service in the community and the beautiful ideas and contributions and creations that come from living wholehearted lives. No boat could ever bring me that joy. No matter how nice it is. I'll have one party on it first, and y'all can come. Then we'll sell it and give the money away. Here's the thing. We know we want to give more. I don't ever hear anybody that says, I do not wish to give more. I do not wish to be generous. You can't make me do it. If you think that, you're smart enough not to say it to your minister. Clever. But we can't give more of what we don't have. We can't share the talent we haven't developed. We can't give the financial gift that we haven't received. To give more, we have to be more. Not from what the world thinks more is, too. Be very cautious of that. It's not anything about hitting some mark or some level that your mom or your 10th grade math teacher or whoever that voice in your head is that says you should do this or you're nothing. It's not that. It's that thing that rises up inside you that calls you forward. And if you're anything like me, it's something like this. Practice your ukulele. Oh, I should probably do something for work. Practice your ukulele and sing songs. That's just a thing I do for fun. I better put my energy over here. Practice your ukulele. That was my best Ethel Merman. It's hard for me to buy in, and maybe you can relate to this. It's hard for me to buy in that practice my ukulele somehow is some major thing that's going to change the world. And yet, if any of you have ever been in the office on, say, a Thursday, when I haven't been singing or playing music for a while, I think it's safe to say I am less effective as a minister. Because there's something that is unleashed in my heart when I do the things I'm called to do that I don't know why I'm called to do it, but something in my soul needs it. And when I am fed, I can show up for you in a bigger, brighter, more loving way. Yeah? And you have that thing too, or those things. If you're like me, a creative ADD person, maybe you have 52 of those things that you need to make the time for. And we live in a culture that tells us, that's not important. You're wasting your time. Anybody ever hear that as a kid? You're wasting your time. No. I'm a mom. I can outvote your mom. No. I need a ladder to stand on so I can be taller than your dad too. No. It's not true. It's not true. To give more, we have to be more, and sometimes that means being different. And that moves us into the next point here, opening to transformation. Being different, seeing things differently is scary. We have built ourselves this beautiful, safe little cocoon of, this is just who I am. I've always been this way. This is just who I am. This is just how I be. We think our tendencies and our preferences and our habits are who we are. And it's a lie. It's a lie. Who we are is an individual expression of divine perfection with infinite goodness of every nature. That is unchanging. That is unchangeable. Forever. And everything else is just sort of the crumbs around it. And that is changing always. That's what the Buddhists tell us, right? Only thing you can count on is change. It's all going to change except for that core center, that core inner world, that absolute truth that is God internally. In Science of Mind, we say the highest God and the innermost God is one God. That's it. Call it your world, call it your truth, call it your reality, but it is not, I just have to have 2 cups of coffee in the morning before I talk to anybody, and then maybe I'll be a human being. Honey. It is not, I do not get up and speak in front of people. I don't like it. I've never wanted to do it. It is not, I'm just going to do my job and keep my head down and follow the rules and get my retirement, and then I will do the things I care about. None of that is truth. None of that is reality. But we let ourselves think it is. We let ourselves believe that it is. Ernest Holmes said, what is belief? Most surely, belief is a certain way of thinking. It's an activity of consciousness. Belief is a thing of thought. And being a thing of thought, we can change it. We can change it. We can decide to be something else. And the great thing is Science of Mind has all these tools. And what are the tools designed to do? Help us change our beliefs. Meditation, spiritual mind treatment, or affirmative prayer, affirmations, groups that get together and share our feelings, and classes. These are all designed to help us change our beliefs. If our truth is who we really are, why would we listen to this story in our head that is made up crap that doesn't mean anything? I mean, who wants to party on the yacht with me? Right? Who wants to sell it and give the money away with me? Who has things like that in their life that wanders through your head and you think, if I win the lottery? We are the lottery. We won the lottery by being expressed into beingness by God itself in this form right now, in a country with the kind of wealth and the connection of technology where we can talk to anyone about anything, anywhere on the planet, and have a real good shot of having somebody join right up. Yes? Oh. So let's talk about what can happen when somebody is a real yes to this idea. We're going to talk about Neri Oxman, who I love. Neri Oxman is an Israeli-born, it's hard to even finish the next sentence. She's a professor at MIT. She's a trained architect, educated as a medical doctor. She's been doing art her entire life. She says there literally is nowhere in the world where she could have fit in to follow her vision except the Media Lab at MIT. Her vision is to completely omit the use of plastics on planet Earth, not because it's bad, not because kill it with fire, the way so many things are, but by creating something better using the models of nature. That there was no other place on Earth she could find where people were not expected to pick a team. At MIT, in that media lab, they have a balance between computers, engineering, art, and biology. And every scientist that comes, or engineer, or artist that comes and wants to work with them, the question they ask is, can you work anywhere else? Would any other university hire you? And if the answer is yes, they say, go do that. We want the weirdos. We want the people who think so differently that there's nowhere for them to go but here. She's working on a project called Agua Hoja, and I'd like to have you put back up the title slide. This is a version of Agua Hoja. This is something firmer than architectural plastics that is waterproof and can be used to build structures, and it is entirely biological. It is grown, and it's biodegradable. The structure is firm enough to hold up a building, and the film, the membranes you see, are flexible and translucent. Every year they create new versions of it that have deeper levels of science and deeper levels of functionality in it. But this could not exist, and whatever grows from it, 20 years from now, we're going to live in buildings made of this stuff. We're going to be seeing whole cities built out of this kind of science. And anywhere else, they would have told her, that's crazy, it can't be done. Somebody said, you want to build? Biology will get you nowhere. Biology will get you everywhere. If you are willing to live your truth, to not just be a doctor or just be an architect. And I realize being a doctor is a huge thing, but if you're a doctor and an architect and an artist and a visionary, and you only let yourself be one of those things, the world doesn't change. We are all 150,000 things. What lights you up? Something is crying to be born out of you. It's the season of Jewish high holidays. I know lots of us in this room celebrate the Jewish high holidays, so Mazel Tov. And Neri was born in Israel, was born and raised in Israel. Her family still lives there. And there is this saying in Israel that has seriously impacted her life. It says, all is expected, all is known. And this is something that we expect, Israel, monotheistic theocracy. We know this, right? All is known, all is in the one, all is in the divine. But it doesn't stop there. If it stopped there, I don't think we would know the Neri Oxman we know today. The second part is, and permission is given to change everything at any moment in time. All is expected, all is known in the life we are living right now. We know where we're going tomorrow. We know how much money we're going to make. We know what our job title is. We know who our family members are. We know what our center is. We know. And it's expected. And it freaks us out a little bit when it's not what's expected, right? Trust me, nobody knows this more than I do. You write the talk you need to hear. But permission is given at any moment to change everything. And that's what has to be in place in our own beingness to allow ourselves the transformation necessary to be all of who we are. And if we are that, whether it is affecting the hearts of those around us, or growing new buildings, or writing that book, or singing that song, or creating that nonprofit, whatever it is, when we do that, that is our biggest contribution. And so it is. So let's anchor that with prayer. Breathing into this space and just allowing the electricity in the very room to be felt in our fingertips and our toes into the depths of our very cells. What I know is that the divine is right where we are at every moment. In this moment. In this room, in each being within the sound of my voice, the divine is making itself known as passion and joy and abundance and good pouring forth. It is making itself known as wholeness of heart and body, of healing and of falling away of everything that does not serve. The generosity of the one works itself through each one of us, profoundly lifting us up to exactly where we are supposed to be, with no judgment about what that is, just allowing the guidance to carry us in. And as this happens, I know that every beloved within the sound of my voice is profoundly blessed, that every prayer, spoken and unspoken, is immediately answered by that law that always says, yes, my beloved, yes. What a gift it is to know this truth, to live in this truth, to walk out this truth every day, all the time. And so I know as each of us are blessed, the center is blessed, our partners are blessed, that each is inspired to be that something more, that greater expression, that deeper contribution to life. To know that our world and our truth and our reality that is the divine is unchanging. Even as the world swirls around us, we just let it swirl and be our truth and call it good. And so it is.